Let's start off with announcements. Okay. Let's start off with announcements. Here in my course navigation. Again, notice we do have this announcement that was added as part of the template. And whenever I click on it, it does just give you some information. Okay. Gives you some links out. What are announcements? Canvas instructor guide on announcements. Okay. Just some information about announcements. But what we want to do is we want to add an announcement. We're going to click on plus announcement up here in the upper right hand corner. Plus announcement. All right. First thing we need to do is give this a title. Welcome to the class. That'll work. Just going to say welcome, right? Welcome to the fall 2020 semester. Welcome students to the fall 2020 semester. I'm excited to be your instructor. Reach out if you need anything. Make sure you take a look at the, remember on announcements, put in course links. Course navigation, maybe I give them a link to the syllabus. Take a look at the syllabus. Maybe I give them a link to Module 1 or the Welcome Begin Here. Also, remember on announcements, especially a welcome announcement, create that community. Okay? Create that engagement. Let me turn my chair. Let's start recording. Hey students, and welcome to the fall 2020 semester. I am excited to be your instructor. Let me know if you need anything. Make sure you take a look at that syllabus. And we'll click save. It's going to process really quick. And while that processes, there it goes. Let me show you some information down here at the bottom. You have some options available to you. First off, you can delay posting. Okay, you can delay the posting of your announcement. Maybe you're working on Sunday and you want your students to see the announcement on Monday. Just say delay posting, click the calendar, select the day, the time, right, that you want them to see it. Now this announcement's not going to get posted to the class until Monday at 8 o'clock a.m. Okay, so we can go ahead and delay that posting. Also, if there's media in the announcements, we can enable a podcast feed. Okay, and then as we subscribe to that with our preferred podcast feed, we can go ahead and have this information on the go. We can also allow liking, excuse me, as we want students to engage with our announcements, right? We can allow them to like our announcements. When I am done with my announcements, okay? When we're done with our announcement, we're just going to click save. And notice here on my home page, it truncates the announcement, right? It's back on my home page. Welcome to fall 2020. I'm excited to be your If we want to see the whole announcement, we are going to click on the link up here at the top. Also notice, as I mentioned at the very beginning, changing your avatar, right? Changing your profile picture in your account settings is one way to create some engagement with your students. Let them see who you are, okay? As we post announcements, they can see our picture. So go to announcements in your course navigation. Click the plus announcement button in the upper right-hand corner. Give it a title. Put in some verbiage. Take a look at those options if you'd like to, and click save. All right, after we are creating our announcement, let's take a look at discussions, another way to engage and communicate with our students. Okay? Here in our course navigation, we're going to click on discussions. All right, clicking on discussions. We have a couple of discussions already as part of the template. We have a course discussion board. That was part of that welcome or the start here module for the students, right? I love having a course question board in a course, right? We've got 400 students in a course, right? We don't want to answer the same question 400 times. Hopefully, we can answer it once, and all 400 students will see that information. You know, or answer each other, right? Answer each other. Begin to engage and collaborate amongst each other. We want to be able to have that information in one area. We also have this template, okay? This template of a graded discussion as part of the template. But what we're going to do is we're going to click on plus discussion up here at the very top. Okay, we're going to click on plus discussion up here at the very top. And when we click on plus discussion, we're going to start off with a topic. We're going to say introduce yourself. Start off with introduce yourself, all right? And I'm just going to say to my students, let's see here. Please introduce yourself to your peers. Answer the following questions. All right, make a bulleted list. What is your favorite dessert? Where did you last go on vacation? What year are you? Right? Now, when it comes to discussions, and again, notice we have the same rich content editor as we've had throughout the afternoon. As we, after we've put in our prompt here, let's take a look at some of the options down below. First off, threaded replies. I love threaded replies. We can have replies within replies, and we can have conversations within conversations. Okay, we can allow students to begin to engage with each other, not just me, the instructor. Okay, I love threaded replies, and we'll see where these reply buttons are. For my more academic type of discussion posts, right, as I'm wanting students to have originality of content, I can say that users must post before seeing the replies. Okay, I want them to post before they reply. Okay, now before seeing the replies, let me rephrase that, before they can see what their peers have written. I can also enable the podcast feed here, like we saw on announcements. I'm going to come back to graded. I can also allow liking on my discussion posts. Now, when it comes to liking, I like this as a gamification of sorts in discussions, where as the instructor, I can say, hey, I'm going to talk about one of the 3 topics this week in class, right? This is going to be my lecture this week. Pick which one you want to talk about. Like it. Students come in, like it. Let's be honest, eventually we're going to talk about all 3, but for this week, they're going to get a say. So we can allow liking. Now, I can also add this to the student to do, all right? By adding this to the student to do, it'll be on their calendar. It'll be in their to-do list, all right? Because without it being graded with a due date, without graded and due date, they're not going to have this on their to-do list. Now, course question board, right? Non-graded, that doesn't necessarily need to be on their to-do list. If this were going to be, a introduce yourself that's not graded, I'm going to want them to do it the first week of class. So I'm going to put a to-do list, right? Now, I'm going to come back to graded because we get more options this way. First off, group discussion, right? We had this on non-graded as well, but we have a group discussion. When we have group discussions, we are utilizing groups, and each group will have their own individual areas to discuss the topic. So we have group discussions, okay? Points possible, we just put in the points that are possible for our discussion. How we display our grade, we saw this on assignments. Our assignment group, I need to change this, okay, to discussions, right? We created our assignment groups earlier. Peer reviews, we can have peer reviews on discussions as well. Then we have our assign, right? What's our due date? Okay, what's our due date? What's our availability window? When can they start commenting? When can they start commenting on this? When is it due? Okay. But how many days extra am I going to give them? Okay. How many days extra am I going to give them in order to turn it in late? When I'm done with my discussion, okay? When I'm done with my discussion, after I've given it a title, after I've given it a prompt, I'm going to come down and I'm going to say save and publish. And this is going to take me to the discussion itself. Now, what I like to do and what I like to suggest for the introduce yourself, right? For the beginning of the semester. Again, no matter if this is face-to-face, if this is hybrid, if this is virtual, I think it's beneficial for students to know their instructor. Come in and reply. Notice we have our reply button. Reply to this. Let students know who you are. Okay, don't just expect them to introduce themselves. You introduce who you are as well. Use this media tool, right? We've seen this a few times today. Use the media tool and create a video, right? Upload, record media, click record. Let me record a video really quick. Hey, y'all, it's Mr. Rogers. My favorite dessert is any dessert. Any dessert is my favorite dessert. My last vacation, I think, was to Colorado a couple of years ago. And my wife is class of '06. She is a second generation Aggie. And unfortunately, I do not have the Aggie ring or that beautiful piece of paper on my wall. But yeah, my wife's class of '06. And then we will click save. And it's going to process and add it to my rich content editor. And while we let that process, it's going to be your turn. Create a discussion. So we're going to click on discussions. We're going to click on plus discussion in the upper right hand corner. Okay. Put in a title, put in a prompt. Take a look at those settings. Right. Save and publish. Post a reply. Okay. Post a reply. Here it goes. I'm going to say post a reply and it's going to put it in here. All right. Again, discussions. Plus discussion up here in the upper right. When it comes in, put in a title. Put in some verbiage. What is the prompt? Change your options. Click save and publish. All right. Reply to it. Now notice though, here's my threaded reply. This is where I can reply within the message itself. So we have our threaded replies enabled. All right, so take just a minute and play with your discussions. All right, after we've built out our discussion, remember, we need our students to access this. All right, we need our students to access this. I don't have access to my discussions for my students, so I'm going to go back to my modules. I'm going to come on down to my module I built earlier. I'm going to click the plus button, and I'm going to select a discussion. Here's my introduce yourself discussion. Now, I might put this, I'm going to put it on module 1, because that's the start of my academic information, but I might put this on my welcome begin here. Right? It's up to you. If it's an introduce yourself, do you want it on welcome begin here? Introduce yourself to your peers, right? Or do you want it as part of your more academic-y information, for lack of better words? Okay? Put it where it makes sense to you. But make sure that it's in your module. So I'll give you just a second to put it in your module. Remember, we're going to modules. We're finding the module we want to put it in. Clicking the plus button, selecting discussion, finding the discussion we created, and clicking add item. All right, after it's in our module, remember, let me just remind you really quick. You always have student view. You always have student view over here in your menu on your homepage, right? Notice my course is not published, but I can still access student view even without my course being published. So if you want to see what your students see, right? If you want to make sure things are working, make sure your modules are published, go see what your students see. Access student view. You can submit assignments, take your assessments, do everything, right? It is dependent upon availability dates, okay? So keep that in mind, but always go in. Notice my coming up is beginning to populate because I've put in due dates. So it's coming up for me, all right? I can see what's going to occur. But let's continue with some communicating inside of Canvas. All right, let's hop out of the course though. Where can we communicate outside of the course but still communicate with our students? Let's first take a look over here in our global navigation at our inbox. Okay, I'm going to click on inbox. Notice as I'm clicking on it, I have a little 4. Right, I've got this little 4 on my inbox, which tells me I have 4 unread messages. All right, I have 4 unread messages in my inbox. Now, as I scroll through here, these dots, right, these maroon dots that are filled in, tell me these are my unread messages. This bottom message, I can mark it as unread. If I need to come back to it, I can mark it as unread. But notice what I've done over here. I have starred this or favorited this message. This way I can come back to it. Maybe I've got a lot of messages coming in at one time from my students. I can just favorite them and come back to them. And I'll show you how to filter that out to easily find all of my starred messages. But notice at this message up above this one, as I hover over the message, that's where that star comes in, where I can then click on it in order to favorite it. Just hover over the message and that star will pop up. But speaking of filtering out our inbox, we can click up here where it says all courses. I can come down to favorite courses and I can begin to filter out maybe just for my hands-on training course, right? If I just want to see those messages from that one course, I can see just those messages, or I can come back and do all courses and see everything. I can also get a little bit more granular. Notice I have inbox, unread. So if I want to see my unread messages in an area, I can do that. Here's my starred. If I just want to view my favorited or starred messages, I can do that as well, okay? Or my sent messages, any messages I have sent out to my students, I can certainly do that. Anything I've archived or submission comments. As students are submitting their assignments to you, they can provide comments. Thank you for the opportunity to submit this 25-page midterm, right? Thank you for this opportunity. So you can get all of your submission comments in one spot without navigating to the course. Now there's areas within the course where we can message students, right? There's message students within the course. But if we're outside of the course and we just want to write a real quick message, over here on the right, we have a compose a new message button, okay, where we can click on this compose a new message. And as I zoom in here, let me show you. We have select course where I can say maybe my Canvas training course. If I know the student I need to send a message to, I can just type in their name and find that individual student. Or I have an address book over here on the far right-hand side that as I click on this address book, notice it brings up the roles, sections, groups, right? But I'm going to select students. Again, it shows me all of the students in my course, but I'm going to say all of my students, okay? Maybe I want to say, oh, welcome to, we'll do fall 2020 geology. Welcome to our fall 2020 geology course. Now, I like to do this next step. Notice underneath subject, I have a little checkbox here to send an individual message to each recipient. This is not a blind copy or a carbon copy. This really is an individual message. All right. So it'll take all of my students, and send this message individually to each of them. This prevents the dreaded reply all. All right. This prevents them from replying to everybody. Right. So if you were to put individual students, they can't reply all. But I'm just going to say, welcome to our fall 2020 geology course. It's going to be rocking, right? Mr. Rogers. Now, after I'm done with my message, I can add an attachment. Okay, I can add an attachment to this, right? View the attached syllabus to see your course expectations and resources. I can also add an audio or video comment as an attachment, right? Remember, we're fostering community. We're building engagement. We have the ability to add a video comment as well. When I'm done, I'm just going to click send. It's going to send out that individualized message. Let me look at my sent messages. Earlier today, I sent out an individual message, right? This is not current. This was earlier today because it does take a minute. But notice, welcome to fall 2020 geology. That is an individualized message. I didn't take time to put in individual students and send that individually. That really is just clicking that checkbox in order to send an individualized message to each student. All right, next means of communication is our calendar. I'm going to click on my calendar. And as this loads, I want to point out on my calendar on the far right-hand side, okay, on the far right-hand side, I have two calendars that are currently enabled. I have a personal calendar. All right. I have a personal calendar. I know this is enabled because this little box is filled in. It's got a color associated. Also, this course is filled in. It's got a color. I can enable any of my courses by clicking this little box. Right now it's bold. Now the box is filled in. And I know that this is enabled. So by enabling it, I'll be able to see the calendar. I'll be able to add items to that calendar, okay? So as I zoom out, notice there is that geology lab assignment and that introduce yourself, okay? There are both of those that I've already created. Now, if something's crossed out, that means it's already been assessed. They already have their grades. We don't need to worry about them, all right? We don't need to worry about them. It's kind of like checking them off of our to-do list, right? We don't need to worry about them. Now, let's create an event on our calendar. I'm just going to click on a day, maybe tomorrow. Maybe there's something happening tomorrow. I'm going to create an event. Think of an event as something that's occurring. Maybe this is a special lecture happening in Rudder. Maybe this is a gallery opening, right, that you want students to attend. Maybe this is a choir performance, okay? An event. I'm just going to give it a title. We'll just say special lecture. We're going to say it's tomorrow. We'll say it's from, we'll say 8:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. All right. I've already used those before, so we'll just reuse them. And we'll say it's in Rudder. All right. Now, calendar. Notice it's only enabling using the courses that I've already enabled. All right. I can only add to the calendars that have been enabled. I'm going to add it to my training course. And then I'm going to say submit. All right. I'm going to say submit. Now, let's say something happens and we need to change the date of this event. I can click and I can say edit, or I can click and drag. All right. Maybe it's going to be on the 27th. Maybe it's going to be on the 1st. Maybe it's going to be on the 5th. Okay. we can change the date. So go ahead, click on any day on your calendar. Click on your calendar in your global navigation. Click on a day. Add an event. This can be an event on your personal calendar. This can be an event inside your Sandbox course, okay? Make sure your Sandbox course is enabled over here on the far right, or add the event to your personal calendar. After you've added your event, click and drag it, right? Change the date by clicking and dragging it, all right? So go ahead and add an event to your calendar. Let's pick another day. I'll just go on the 18th. Let's look at a couple of other items on here. First off, you have an assignment tab. Notice if I choose my training course I've been using today, I have my groups down here, okay? Now this just creates a shell for an assignment that we would then come in and edit later, but some faculty do like to go through and just add all of their assignments on the calendar, right? Go through the semester, add everything, and then come back later and modify the information. But you can add assignments. You have a to-do list that you can add to your personal calendar, but my favorite is the appointment group. Maybe I'm going to have virtual office hours, right? I'm just going to put in a fake Zoom URL, but maybe I'm going to have virtual office hours. Again, I'm going to select my training course here. Now, what I'm going to do for the 18th, all right, what I'm going to do for the 18th is I'm going to put in a time range, maybe from 3 p.m. until 5 p.m. Maybe on, let's see, I did the 18th, maybe on the 21st. I'm going to do the same thing, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Maybe on these 2 days, I'm going to have virtual office hours for my students. And we're going to give them 20-minute blocks. Okay? All I'm doing is putting in the dates of my office hours, putting in the time range. Down here, I'm putting in how I want to split these time ranges into these blocks. Okay, I'm going to click go. Now look, the 18th went to 3 to 320, 320 to 340, 340 to 4, so on and so forth. All the way down to the 21st, 3 to 320, 320 to 4, right? All the way down. So it took those 2-hour blocks and broke them up into 6 sections apiece over the days. Now I can limit each time slot to 1 student. I don't want more than 1 student coming at a time to my office hours, right? I don't want them coming more than 1 at a time. Maybe I want students to see who sign up. Maybe I don't. Also, I can limit participants to attend only 1 appointment. Maybe I don't want them to monopolize my time, and I only want them to attend 1 appointment. Okay? We can definitely limit that. So we can say 1 appointment. I would put in some details down here, right? Join me on virtual office hours on Zoom. You have limited to 1 student per time slot. You are only allowed 1 appointment. I'm going to click publish. This is going to run, and then it's going to take those 2 days. Look at this. It's going to take these 2 days. I have my time blocks. Now, what students are going to see when they come to Canvas, they're not going to see each of those times. Over here, right above, right below this calendar, right above the calendar options, they're going to have an option for appointments, okay? And they're going to click this button, and it's going to bring up all of their calendars. They're going to select your course, and then they're going to be able to see these individual times, okay? You're going to see these individual times, and then they're going to click on it, and they're going to register. And then whenever they register, this is going to become bold. Okay, this is going to bold in for you. And then you'll be able to see, hey, Frank Wood registered for this time, right? And because I said only 1 appointment slot, they're not going to be able to register for more than 1, All right. It's going to ask them if they try to do more than one. Hey, you're already registered for one. Do you want to change or keep it? All right. So that's the appointment groups. All right. That's appointment groups in that area.